Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Fatal Female Friday. For this episode, we are actually going to do a serial killer from Nebraska, which, the serial killer from Nebraska named Della Sorenson, who I've actually never, which most people have actually, as far as I know at least, have never heard of her, probably because it happened in like this really small town in Nebraska, and, who I've actually never, which most people have actually, as far as I know at least, have never heard of her, probably because it happened in like this really small town in Nebraska, and there's not a lot of sources that I could find regarding this case. And the sources that I did find basically were like saying the same information like over and over again, except in different wording. So I guess like paraphrasing what the original source said. And so since this case is discussing a serial killer, like it was with the Bubba case, this video will probably be longer than the other videos. But in this video, I guess it's justifiable as to why this video is so long is because we are talking about a serial killer. So bear with me. Yeah, so anyway, since I have no other announcements, let's go ahead and get started. Della Sorensen was born on February 16, 1867 in Farewell, Nebraska. Her parents were named William Roman Seidel and Marie Gregor Seidel, because Seidel was her maiden name before Della got married. So, for those of you who don't know, which I feel most of the people watching this should know, but just in case you don't, your maiden name is basically like the name you were born with. So, for example, my maiden name, since I'm not married, is Rose. So, like, for example, which I don't think I should need to give one, but just in case, I feel an example should help. My maiden name is Rose, and so like when I get married, let's say my husband's last name is Zimmerman. um, if I were to get married to the guy with the last name Zimmerman, I would take his last name, so my last name would no longer be Rose, it would be Zimmerman to represent that I am in fact married. Yeah, so Della's parents, William and Marie, were actually both Austrian natives, so they actually weren't from the United States, but they moved there after. It doesn't say exactly when, but it definitely is before Della is even born. So we at least know they immigrated to the United States after being in Austria. And so Della's mother, Marie, actually died when she was 6 from what was believed to be pregnancy complications. Like she was in the process of giving birth, and apparently, um, she died in the process of giving birth. And the baby's name allegedly was Mary, and Mary apparently died like shortly after the mother Marie died. So that's believed to be why. That's what I found. So that's believed to be why like Della's mom. We don't really hear about Della's mom like at all, at least from the sources I found, because she died when Della was 6. So keep that in mind. Because this happened in like the early 1900s, not much is actually known about Della. Because again, she's in like one of like the major profile serial killers. So we don't know anything about her childhood. We don't know anything about early adulthood. Anything. All we know is that she got married to a guy named John. A guy named John Wildham. That's her first husband. Yeah, all we know about Della pretty much is up to the point where she started killing. The actual first confirmed murder committed by Della was this little girl named Violet Cooper who died on July 23rd, 1918, and she was her sister-in-law's daughter. So the husband named and the sister-in-law, Joe's biological sister, she's known in the papers as Mrs. Wetzel Cooper. So I guess that's her husband's name and not like her name, obviously. And so, and so, Mrs. Cooper, as we'll call her, she had this daughter named Violet Cooper. And so Violet is actually the first confirmed victim of Della. So Violet was like this little girl who died on July 23rd, 1918. And so, children die young. This is the early 1900s. So unfortunately as it is, children dying young wasn't like uncommon. Obviously with poison, but again, this is the early 1900s, so a child dying young, that wasn't like a huge like red flag or anything, as it would be now, unfortunately. So Della got away with that murder. So then 2 years passed, and then the mother-in-law, Mrs. Wilhelma Wedham, she would die as a result of being poisoned too. So that's the second confirmed victim. And then over a 2-week period, she killed her own daughter, Minnie, not the mouse, but Minnie, who's believed to be like 3 at the time, and she died September 7th, 1921, and then her husband Joe died within that 2 weeks that Minnie died. So I didn't get an exact date, but it does say he died. And so then after killing her daughter Minnie and then the husband Joe, she only waited about 4 months before she got married again to Emmanuel Sorensen, which is where she got Sorensen from, because that's the name of the man she's married to now, And so then the two of them actually moved to Dansburg, Nebraska in August of 1922. Her former sister-in-law, Mrs. Cooper, the one that had the daughter Violet killed, but obviously she didn't know Violet was killed. She thought it was just Violet just died. So she came back with actually another child named Clifford, not the dog, but an actual child named Clifford, who met the same demise as his sister Viola on August 20th, 1922, by being poisoned with some candy. Because as a little kid, little kids love candy, right? So then the mother somehow still didn't connect the dots. She came back with yet another child who I couldn't really find the name for the other child, like the third child. But this child, thank God, actually survived. So we have a survivor. And so then in early 1923, Della actually killed her own daughter, what is believed to be her first birthday. She also had this friend of hers named Christina Brock, who brought her own child, which was named Ruth, only a week after the death of Dolores. Yeah, Della's daughter was named Dolores. And so Christina had brought her own child named Ruth only a week after the death of Dolores. And so Della had poisoned Ruth, and then Ruth died too on February 20th, 1923. And so it wasn't until the second husband got poisoned but survived that the police had started to get suspicious about Della.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
She was thinking, I took one husband out, I could take the other one out too, right? So then in 1925, Della was finally arrested when she gave this strychnine laced candy. You remember what Christina Edmonds gave to the people she was poisoning with that chocolate? Yeah, remember the chocolate video that I made about 2 videos ago with the strychnine? Apparently strychnine must have been, like I said, strychnine was easy to get back then. So she got some strychnine, placed it in some cookies. Well, some sources say candy, but most of the sources that I have that I'm using say cookies. So we're going to go with cookies, okay? Apparently some cookies. And she gave them to 2 children. One named Lillian and one named Lyle Knott, who luckily were saved by doctors. And so, luckily they were finally able to connect the dots as to like all these mysterious people like dying, and they all have Della in common. So they finally connected the dots. They finally had the proof Della was somehow involved, and they arrested her. And so of course she immediately confessed. When asked why, because you killed a lot of people, obviously we're gonna want to know why.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason? What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
I don't need to explain
She basically said that she liked attending funerals and that she was happy when someone is dying. And so Della said she had killed Dolores, remember, who was the daughter, because she got irritated from like the constant crying, which I mean, Dolores was a baby. I mean, what you expect her to do? I mean, and then Minnie had to be let go, in other words, killed, because she had this Saint Vitus dance and saw no other option. And so basically, Saint Vitus, for those of you who don't know, because I didn't even know what that was, I didn't know that even existed. And so basically, it was like these jerky movements of like all over your body that are, for the most part, like uncontrollable. And so they're, you know, and so basically believed that there was no way that she could be helped, and so it'd be better if she just be put out of her misery. Regarding Joseph, which I call Joe, which is the first husband, the one that did die, he, in Dell's mind, he had to go because of an argument that the two of them had. The mother-in-law, Wilhelma, she had to go because Della thought that she was a burden and it would be better if she was just not in the picture. Because Wilhelma, from what I read, was like this really elderly lady, and so obviously, like when you were past a certain age, you kind of need people to take care of you, and so that's kind of what's seen in Della's eyes, at least. I don't know about everybody else, but in Della's eyes, that was seen as like a burden. So she just was like, just you know. And so Viola and Clifford, Mrs. Cooper's children, the two out of the three that did pass away, they had to go because apparently, okay, hear me out here. Some sources say the two kids were gossiping about her, but other sources say the mom was gossiping. So in Della's mind, when she kills Mrs. Cooper's kids, it was justified because this is like, now you'll know how I felt when you were talking about me.
Death to all of them.
The two not children, Lillian and Lyle, the ones who got the cookies and helped Della get caught, because they survived and all that good stuff, they were targeted because their father had apparently stole some of her wine. Some sources even say there was an unnamed infant as a possible victim of Della's as well. Obviously, victim meaning that they passed away, but for some reason that infant is unnamed, so we don't know if Della did it or not. Ruth, Christina's child, the one that was brought over right after her daughter Dolores died, Ruth had to go because she felt that the mother, Christina, was not taking proper care of her. Of course, all the poisonings were revealed to end up happening in her house, so the number of attempted murders is like not known, but it was revealed like after she had gotten caught and everything that a bunch of kids would get sick after visiting Della. So of course, it's believed she was trying to poison them and kill them too, but they, went through it and survived. And so remember how I said that she liked attending funerals and that she was happy when somebody's dying? Yes, the doctors back then, that caused them to believe that she was schizophrenic, and so she was taken to this mental asylum. And so it was even said that she could be released in 2 to 3 years. So despite killing almost 10 people, she could be released in 2 to 3 years. But if she were to ever get released, then the murder charges could somehow be brought back. I don't know how that would have worked, but somehow it would have. So then, of course, she was found to be mentally ill, and so she was sent to the Hastings State Hospital, where she would reside for 16 years until her death on June 24th, 1941. And so then she was then buried in the Ingleside Cemetery in Nebraska. And so, yeah, that was a case of Della Sorensen. So that wraps it up for episode 5 of Fatal Female Friday. And hopefully I will see you Fatal Females next Friday. Bye!